Let's chat about this with speaker and health coach Vanessa Sturman. And Vanessa, I'm just wondering for you, what is the typical kind of bit of misinformation that you come across a lot in your work?
Oh, do you know what? There are so many, and that's the difficulty as well. And that's what causes so much confusion. And when you get people saying, well, I just can't eat anything now, can I? I think the sorts of misinformation that are huge is people being really scared of complex carbohydrates, even thinking that potatoes and rice, even fruit, is going to be bad for them and apparently bad for their blood sugar. Now, we know that fruit and complex carbohydrates are fantastic for us. The refined sugar and the cakes on the shelf, of course, they are not so good for us, but people become scared of foods they really want to be putting onto their plate that have lots of fiber in. This feeds our good gut bacteria, it actually reduces cravings. That's one of the biggest pieces of misinformation I've seen. And some other ones are, well, I've picked up this packet of food and the ingredients list is 10 things. It must be bad for you. Or even saying that they can't pronounce a certain ingredient. There are some ingredients where just the chemical name is used, or the more official name, and people don't recognize what it is. It doesn't mean it's bad for you. Saying just something's got a long ingredients list does not equal bad. You can pick some fantastic products up that might be pre-flavored lentils, and the ingredients list might be mostly things like herbs and spices. That's really good for you.
The thing about this, though, is that these days a lot of us are getting information online. And the problem with that is there may be people who are trained, such as yourself, but there are also people who might not have that background. And so, how do you tell which bit of information is true and which is false?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. So there are a lot of people online who get a lot of views because they're saying sensational things. One bite of X is going to kill you, or whatever it is, or, going around supermarkets and fear mongering people, or, anything like that, or telling you just, a bit of fruit is spiking your blood sugar and you shouldn't have it. That gets so many more clicks. Now, to decipher, it can be hard, but to decipher who might actually be talking a bit of sense is to look at nuance. Are they explaining it, or are they coming up with these black and white statements to say this is good and this is bad? So, for instance, if someone is talking about calories, if they just say, right, all that matters is, and calories in, calories out is very important. If they say that all that matters, then you might think, where's the nuance? If they start talking about the quality of calories as well and say, actually certain calories from things like fruit and veg and beans and whole grains will keep us more full and might stop us eating calories later. If people are saying things like anything you eat late at night is absolutely terrible, is going to make you put on loads of weight. Again, we need some nuance. Sometimes we might eat late. Sometimes we have different lifestyles. If that happens, it's okay. Let's look at the quality of your food as well. Let's still make sure you're not going over the amount of calories you need. It's not amazing for your sleep, which is something to think about, but it's not going to kill you to eat a late meal. So there's got to be that nuance there and understanding. We don't have to stick to really exact rules.
The calorie thing is an important one to point out, though, isn't it? Because you could have a very low calorie diet, but all you're having is, sweet biscuits and treats. But as you said, you could fill all those calories with whole grains and, with veg and fruit and stuff. And so you really do have to think about what you're putting in your body. At this point, then, as we get a month into the year and people might be starting to either bed in a new routine, or perhaps it hasn't gone so well and they're trying again, what are your top tips, your pieces of advice to take your health forward in a better way?
Yeah, so it's got to be sustainable. That's always the top one. If we're going to, take it forward and it's going to be a lifelong thing, think about sustainability. So if you're trying something that is a 100% cutting something out, now that might work for some people. In some ways, there might be products for ethical reasons you want to completely cut out. That's fantastic. That's fine. But in general, if you say, right, we're never going to have sugar ever again, and then you eat a piece of cake, and then in your mind you failed. Now, having a piece of cake every now and then is not a problem. We need to think about what we put in. That's more sustainable to say, oh, could I add a few more beans to that vegetable soup to make me more full? Could I be adding more fruit and nuts onto my breakfast, full of incredible nutrients and fiber to feed my gut? I'm going to add. And having things, little habits we do every day, that is what our health is made up of. These small things. So if someone says, well, I'm going to smash it at the gym every single day, which we need rest days as well, and you may not be able to fit that in, that may not be sustainable for you and your life. It might be sustainable for someone else. But saying, "Ooh, I'm going to do some little sets of 10-minute walks wherever I can," that might be more sustainable. And unfortunately, the very sustainable things, they're not as cool. They're not as clickbaity. What looks better on Instagram isn't someone going for a 10-minute walk at lunchtime. It's someone doing something crazy in the gym that people think, oh, I might be able to do that for a bit, but I can't keep it up. So I don't want to say it's boring things, because these habits are so fantastic and delicious, but it is these little things we build in every day, not the sensationalist cutting everything out.
How have you come into this yourself? How have you got into, helping people in this field?
Right. So myself, I've always been a food lover, so I wanted people to enjoy food, celebrate food. But I had a binge eating disorder when I was a teenager, and I really, really struggled with my weight. It was absolutely horrific. And I decided in a moment of despair that I was going to get better, and that I wanted to learn how I could eat wonderful food and not worry about my weight, how I could do it when I'm traveling, not worry about eating out, and how I could be non-restrictive with this. And I also became an expert in behavior change. I studied anthropology at Cambridge and also worked in sustainability field. I then became an expert in plant-based food as well, but wanted to help everyone eat in a way that was more sustainable for their bodies as well as the planet, without anyone having to be a particular nutritional label. And I recognize.
And the thing
Go
is,
for it.
sorry to interrupt you, it's only because of time, but I can hear that knowledge and that enthusiasm now. Of course, there is more online, so just give us where we can find you.
Absolutely. So if you just look up Vanessa Sturman, either on Google or any social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you will find me, and I've got lots of tips and recipes, and you can contact me directly.